Hello, my friends. This is Dr. Jeannie Barrow. Today, I'm here to speak with you about being a healing and inclusive leader so that our employees can bring their best to the table. But not only that, also create the best workplace so that we can produce what we're here to do as a business. My interest in this topic came from when I was doing my book, Healing Leadership: How to Lead, Love, and Thrive in Business and Life, which was published this past April 2021. And during my field study for the book, I interviewed 41 experts and leaders across all different backgrounds and business perspectives. And they came up with these 21 qualities that we surfaced from those interviews that I conducted with them. I've been sharing them with you week by week, and today's week is week number 10. And the 10th quality that leaders must possess is that they value diversity and inclusion. We can take this topic in so many directions, but this is the one that I want to emphasize for you. Human beings have the need for belonging. It's just simply one of the human needs. And when we are looking at our workplace, which congregates many different types of people, professionals, talented and qualified individuals who are there to perform a job for us as leaders within our companies, it behooves us, it's in our best interest to create a type of environment that welcomes diversity, meaning the different perspectives, the viewpoints, the different voices that people bring to the table when they're part of a team. Having people who look exactly like us and think like us and act like us adds very little value when you are operating in a marketplace where your clients, your audience is also of many different backgrounds and have many different perspectives. So you want to create within your organization a microcosm of what your marketplace looks like, above and beyond the value of it being fair, that everybody gets a chance to share their thoughts, their ideas, and to contribute to the best of their abilities. That to me is the given. So from a business perspective, it is good business to value diversity, equity, and inclusion. From a human perspective, it is humane to value people despite anything that they may seem to be different from you for their thoughts, their ideas, their perspective, and their own gifts. I believe that I have special gifts, and that when I am engaged in performing my job as a leadership coach, transformational speaker, career strategist, and author, that I bring those gifts forward. And it is my perspective, which is very different from yours, which is very different from the next person, that makes what I share with you unique. And if someone can relate to me from my background and perspective, and I'm able to have an impact in their lives to improve how they work, how they lead, how they live, so they can live their best life, reach their full potential, then I've done my job. Similarly for you, what has been your experience with diversity and inclusion? Have you been open to new ideas? Have you been open to people that are different from you, who think differently from you? And it doesn't really matter the color of your skin or your religion or whatever that those parameters may be, because there's many differences between people that have the same skin color and the same religion, of course. And so when we talk about diversity, equity, inclusion, we're looking at creating that sense of belonging in the workplace so that everybody is welcomed, so that they can share their gifts to the best of their abilities. As a leader, as a healing leader, it is one of the areas that I want to make sure you don't have a blind spot. This is one of the many topics that we discussed in the book, because it's extremely important that we look at each other as humans first and foremost, and that we allow ourselves the space to explore and get curious about the other humans that we are working with. There's something in coaching that's called shadow work. It is the aspect of us that we don't particularly like. And there's many psychologists and all kinds of field studies that look into the shadow work. There's also an immense amount of work by Richard Schwartz, who explores the internal family system. And at the bottom of it all, it is exploring the parts of us that we dislike. Why am I sharing this with you? I'm sharing this because we have a tendency to say that I don't like you because you think this way. Now, the interesting part is that usually when we are triggered by someone and there's something that somebody does that we don't like, it typically points to and directs us to the fact that there's a part of you, part of me, that doesn't welcome or who hasn't accepted that part of you that does exactly what the other person is doing. I'll give you an example. If you're argumentative and whenever someone brings something up, you always have the opposite point of view, sometimes not because you don't agree with them, but because you want to challenge them. And so you're going to bring up the other perspective. That would be me. And you find that annoying. Like, how annoying is that? Every time I bring something up, Ginny will point out the other perspective. What is that about? That is so annoying. Why does she do that? And that means that there's a part of you that is also inquisitive and curious that perhaps you have not welcomed. And because you have suppressed that part of you in your psyche, I know this is the internal family system language that I'm using, when you see it in somebody else, it triggers you. So how does this apply to business and to life? When you are at work and you get annoyed with a team member, with your manager, with a client, with a prospect, you get annoyed by something they are doing. The minute you notice getting annoyed, which means you use your self-awareness, notice what annoys you, write it down in a piece of paper if you can, later, perhaps after you are out of the situation, and ask yourself, what is it about me that does this? Because if you were triggered by it, it means that you do it and you have not accepted that in yourself. If you want to talk more about this, definitely reach out to me because this is something that I'm passionate about. What is the value of exploring the shadow in business and in your life? There's many parts of us that we may not embrace. And as a result, we shove them down to our feet. When we do that, we are not embodying the full expression of who we are as humans. We are excluding those parts of us that aren't so attractive. And we only want to embrace the parts of us that we feel good using. In the meantime, we are blaming other people, condemning other people that are showing those aspects of themselves authentically. And we are creating separation. So you may be saying, Ginny, why are you telling us all of this about the shadow work and accepting all parts of who we are and showing up to our leadership roles in all these parts? And what is the connection between shadow work and diversity and inclusion? The reason why this is relevant during this conversation is because I believe that the reason why we're having so much trouble with diversity and inclusion as a topic, as a part of our lives and work, is that we are under the illusion that we are different. And we're using our skin color, our religion, our physical capabilities as a way to create a divide between people, when in fact, we are all humans, we are all talented, we all have qualities, and we all have imperfections, if you want to call them that. And when you realize that other people, regardless of any of those factors that I mentioned, color, religion, background, that other people also have qualities and also have their imperfections, including yourself, we stop pointing the finger and instead we realize this is what it means to be human. And there was an excellent podcast that I want to leave you with from Simon Sinek that he did recently. And the name of the podcast is the interview that he had with Chloe Valdari. And Chloe runs the Enchantment Project, I believe is the name of her project. And the whole perspective she brings into the discussion of diversity, equity, and inclusion is exactly along the same lines to what I'm sharing with you, that we've created this smoky mirrors about how we are different, when indeed, whenever we're damning or we're looking down on someone else, it means that we don't feel good about ourselves. And we think it makes us feel good when we point the finger and when we elevate ourselves and lower someone else so that we can feel better. I know that this is a lot that I've covered in this video, but I believe it's important for us to talk about the topic of diversity and inclusion, not from a place of agenda or taking advantage or checking a box. I've refused to do training that I've intuited that the reason why I was doing the training was to check a box, such as doing unconscious bias training. I refuse to work for any partner where the agenda is to check the box versus actually move the needle and improve the condition of the workplace so that people can increase their sense of belonging and perform at their best and reach their full potential on all ends, the leaders and the employees. So I'm not about checking boxes and I'm not about appeasing people. I'm about doing the work, because the work, that internal work, that coaching, that personal development work that each person who's listening to this, who has done it, knows the benefits of, that's what I'm about. I'm about helping my partners and clients get to their next level. And we do that when we take our personal development seriously and we realize that we all have potential. And the only people that are stopping our potential is ourselves. If we're in the wrong environment, we can get out of that environment. If we're in the wrong company, we can leave that company. If we were under the wrong manager, we can always transfer. But you can't transfer you. You take yourself wherever you go. So let's deal with any issues that you're currently having around being open and receptive to different perspectives and points of view, because that's going to impact you now in your career, exactly in the role that you're in, and it will continue to impact you as you try to advance as a leader in business and in life. If this resonates for you, if this is a topic that interests you, if you would like me to come into your company to discuss being a speaker at one of your events, I'm always available, and you can always reach me at callwithginny.com. And if you haven't picked up a copy of Healing Leadership, I highly recommend that you, first of all, take a peek for yourself. And then that once you do, you share it with your leadership team so that we can potentially engage in a book club and help you go through the book in a way that allows the group that's reading it to break it down and unpack all the concepts that I talk about in the book after doing my field study and going through the research and surfacing these 21 qualities. So thank you for listening. As I said, if you want to connect with me, you can reach me at callwithginny.com. And I would love to hear what you have to say about this topic. So please feel free to also email me or leave me a comment. I'll see you soon.